What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of upstate New York here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a very special guest that's on with me today, and she's all the way from the UK. And she has been a novelist. She's been an editor in chief. She has a YouTube show. She's also a judge as well. We're going to talk about all of those things. She has a lot to do with writing and in media. Her name is Roz Morris. And we're going to talk to her again about her why of getting into writing and getting into media. But we're also going to ask her some get to know you questions as well. So without any further ado, Roz, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. I feel exhausted hearing that commentary. I already know you're a sports reporter just from the way you commentated that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very, very appreciative of that. Thank you so much, Roz. And listen, my first question to you is the same as it always is with everybody that's on here. And that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models or any inspirations maybe growing up? But ultimately, what is your why for getting into writing and getting into media?
An overactive imagination, really. I was always, as a kid, reading things, but I read very slowly because what I would do is I would read something and I'd think, my goodness, this has just made me think of such a lot of stuff, and I want to really think about it and explore it. So I was always kind of looking at the world and seeing
Mhm.
meanings and richness and possible ways a story could come out of it. This is just the way my brain is made.
Yeah.
And role models, well, writers who I really liked, a very early love was the writer Gavin Maxwell, who maybe not many people read in these days. He did a series of memoirs about going to live in Scotland, in the Highlands of Scotland, in a remote cottage, and he just loved the wildlife around him, and he particularly loved animals. And one of the things that he did was he acquired an otter and lived with this
Wow.
otter in his farmhouse. Yes, an otter. And the way he described this creature, he described it with such curiosity
Hmm.
and love. And he developed a relationship with it, but it wasn't like it was a pet. It was a wild animal of its own. And he just appreciated that. And I loved that sense of curiosity about otherness, about looking at things as they really are,
Hmm.
and seeing the beauty of what they really are. So he made me want to look at things and write about them. And another person who was a real inspiration was more towards my teenage years, Kate Bush,
Okay.
who, yeah, love her because she just wrote about whatever truly spoke to her. She wasn't writing the same kind of music as everybody else in the charts. And I know later from reading her story that this was something that annoyed quite a few people in the music business. They just wanted her to do pretty love songs and so on. And she wanted to write about Wuthering Heights, which is a pretty twisted love story. And then she
Mm.
wanted to write a song about a baby in the uterus who knows that outside the whole world has ended because there's been a nuclear bomb, and just anything that she wanted to explore and write about
Mm.
that spoke to her. And that made me think what the artist's job is, whatever art you're making, whether it's music or stories, what your job is to make other people see what you are feeling is already there and so special and could be important or enjoyable or make you feel differently about something. So that was my why, and it's still my why. It's still what I love to do.
That will be a hell of a song to listen to from Kate Bush. That's for sure. No question about that. And but I love that. I love your why. I love how passionate you talk about that. That's amazing. No doubt about that. When you talk about writing, Roz, what type of genre do you focus on or fixate on? You know, my genre is sports predominantly.
Mm.
I dabble in some music and some entertainment, but not much. But sports is my lane. What would you say is your genre that you mainly write about, or what's some of the things that you love to write about?
Well, in my fiction, what I love is big stories, but with the literary quality of richness. So they
Okay.
seem to have something big to say about the human condition. An example is, and I'll show you, this was my most recent novel,
Oh,
Everest. This
okay.
has got music in it, actually. It's about musicians, and that's why the cover is like a record sleeve. And in fact,
Hmm.
that is the sleeve of my first ever single that I bought. It was the single of Wuthering Heights. That I took a picture of the sleeve. I still have it, and then the rest of that is
Wow.
artwork done for the cover. But this is about a rock musician who falls into a glacier while climbing Mount Everest, and
Wow.
he's just stuck there. He's held. He's fixed. And what I thought was, what's it like for everybody else who's waiting to? He's dead, obviously, but they're waiting for his body to come back. And how long will that take? And they're kind of held in stasis. They're in the novel. There's his best friend who was his music partner, so they were in the band together. His life is completely on hold because this guy is in the ice. There was the guy's girlfriend who can't move on, and
Mm.
because her love is still there. And
Sure.
then there are
Sure.
various other people who worked with him, and then of course all the fans. Can you imagine when a rock star dies? It's just the world, a little part of your world has ended. It's something that means a lot to you. So that all these people who are thinking, when's he going to come back? And when the book starts, it's 20 years on. He still hasn't come back, and everyone else is much older, but he's still in the ice. He still looks as beautiful as the day he went in. You can hear him on his records. He's still as beautiful as the day he went in. You can see
Right.
him on videos, still beautiful. And I thought, what's that like? And what actually does this say about us? Because as we get older, the music of our youth is a time capsule, it's a time machine. It takes us back to those moments when we felt a particular way, and to people who seem to speak truths to us that we've never heard before. And they're always special. And so I felt that this guy in the ice
Right.
who embodied all that and was still meaning that from the world, and was still in the ice. And until he came out, they will not ever rest.
I like that. I like that last part. Okay, look at you. All right, I like that. No, that's really nice. That's really dope. How long did it take for you to come up with that concept of that story of, writing the book, come up with the concept of the story? How long was that process?
It was very long. I had the idea about 20 years ago. I wrote a short story, and it wasn't enough because I by then at that time I hadn't got the music element. I just had this guy who'd fallen into the glacier and the people were waiting for him, and I felt that was
Right.
really powerful. But then I thought there's something else that I know I need to add, but I've got to find it.
Mhm.
And I was just playing around with the idea, just thinking about it as I went for walks. I find that exercise is a really good way to make the mind just
It
concentrate on
is.
one groove and see what comes out. And eventually I thought, it's music. It's what this frozen guy, frozen at this moment, this sort of little piece of perfection, this little piece of nostalgia and memory is music. And then I thought, oh, right, now that really fits together. So then I thought, what characters should we have if he's in the music world? Who is going to be around him? Who's going to still want to have him back? Also, what is the music industry going to do with this? Because, of course, it's quite a money spinner. And from that, I started feeling my way out. I found I had a big story and it was waiting. I just had to go exploring and do research and create the characters, create their needs, because they all have things they need. They all need to move on, as I said, but they also have this role they have to fulfill as a kind of they're a sort of memory bank speaking for him until he comes back. And so
Wow.
it took a long time to make everything fall into place, but I love that work because I always feel I'm inching towards something, and it can be a little bit better, a little bit better. And like developing a sports technique, because another thing I do is ride horses. And when you are developing a technique, you can only do it bit by bit. You can only correct one little thing, learn one little new thing, and then that becomes part of the way you do it. And
Right.
it's the same with writing this novel. I would learn one new little thing that I needed, and I would think about how to do it, and then that would become part of the book I was building, and then another little bit would come to me, and another little bit. So it was very slow. But again, I love that process. It's creating something. It's making magic because you start with nothing and you gradually build and build and build until you have something, you have a real journey you can take the reader on. This book it's more than 300 pages, so it's a long journey.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's more than 100,000 words. If you thought of it as a film performance, in fact it's an audio book as well, and it's about 11 hours long. And I imagine a film that's 11 hours long, how big a journey that takes you through. And it's really, really rewarding when you're building that, as I say, from nothing, and you make something and you can take a reader on a journey that's that long and that big.
I'm definitely gonna have to cop that because I'm intrigued to definitely read that
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, obviously, a flight from here to London is about that. It's about 9 hours long, so I'm for
Yeah.
sure flying over there, flying back. I definitely will be able to get the audiobook version and be able to just zone out and listen to it and be able to have plenty of time to do that. Because I do plan on coming to London a little later this year as they are having a college football game at Wembley Stadium. I'm sure you're very familiar with Wembley Stadium. So, yes, I would definitely be there, and we definitely would have to link up for sure, no question.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I would love to ask you about going to the University of London. I would love to know if were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to the University of London, or was the U of L, which we can call it, was that your first choice and only choice?
Well, I did apply for Oxford and I didn't get in, but I met some wonderful people when I was lucky enough to get as far as the interview because you had to do an exam and then you'd be selected for an interview. So I went for the interview, loved the place, met some great people, had a great time, and then unfortunately it was all over. I never met them again because I didn't get into the final selection. But I was very happy to go to London. London was the other place. I always felt that London was the place where you could do anything because I grew up in Cheshire, just a sleepy little village among woods and hills, and it was very beautiful. And I love the countryside still,
Okay.
but it was not a place where um, very many people were doing real artistic things. What I always found was when I read magazine interviews with people who were artists or actors or musicians or writers, they all lived in London. And it seemed to me from a very young age that if you lived in London, you had all these opportunities, all these people you could meet to do really artistic things with. And I always thought London would be the place to be. So I was very happy to get a place at London University.
I love that. I love that. Definitely have a London question for you a little bit later in the
Mm-hmm.
conversation for sure because I'm intrigued. I've never been there, so I definitely will have that for you. I want to ask you though, before we get there, some favorite questions, and you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Okay, so here we
Okay.
go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
I love to cook a good pie.
Oh,
And
okay,
that's
a
a
good pie.
savory pie. I know Americans really like sweet pies. I do like sweet pies as well, but a good savory pie. I'm a real meat eater. So good meat with some good flavorings, maybe a bit of spice in, like paprika, and some vegetables to give depth to the flavor, and a good sauce maybe with red wine. So probably a beef and red wine kind of um, casserole, and then it's put into a pie. And if I make a pie, it's got to have pastry on the bottom as well as on the top. Otherwise, it's just something with a lid on it, and that's not pie at all.
Raj, you're gonna have me pull up to where you at now, cause I love, I love this, I love something like that. I love it. That is amazing. I mean, obviously, red wine is good. A good Cabernet is always good. Can't turn
Mm,
that down. And we would call it out here what you're describing as a chicken pot pie or something like that, something like or a casserole like you're describing like that. So I love that. I'm a huge carnivore, so I love steak, love
uh,
chicken. Huge. So I just love that. So I like that. Okay. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Peter Gabriel.
Now, those of you that don't know who Peter Gabriel is,
He
you do watch this episode. Peter Gabriel used to be, if I'm not mistaken, a part of Genesis.
was well done.
Um,
Yes, he was
yeah.
the original singer, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel.
He had a great voice. Great voice. He had a
Mm.
solid solo career as well. I mean, who would have thunk that he was the voice that would eventually be supplanted by the drummer, which was Phil
I
Collins,
know, but he is
of that.
amazing. Phil
Mm-hmm.
Collins is amazing too. I have seen him do. Actually, he was working on something that wasn't his usual pop vein. He was working on a project with someone like George Martin, and he did absolutely all the parts of the track that he was doing, not just the vocals, which we know he can do, and the drums. He was doing everything, and
Right.
it was so impressive.
Okay.
But one reason I really like Peter Gabriel is that he um, made music out of any sound he could get, because he was one of the first people to use the Fairlight synthesizer, which it was a sampler. It would record sounds and then you could play them through the keyboard. And so he'd go out doing things like tapping the steel stays on a telephone mast, and then he'd take
Mm-hmm.
it back and use it to make drums. I love that. He was making his own sounds.
He is amazing, no question about it. You got some good taste in music, Roz. I like that. All
Thank you.
right, let's keep it going. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Mexico City, because I got married there.
Well, congratulations on that. I love that. Now, let me ask you, what was memorable? Obviously, outside of the marrying part and the honeymoon, probably. What was memorable about Mexico City, though, that you remember about that?
The sense of history under your feet, because it was built, well, first of all, on just a swamp. And so
Hmm.
they had to do a lot in order to build anything there at all. And then there are temples under the buildings. Most of them are just rubble, but sometimes you'd find in the basement of somewhere, or they would be digging their tube train and they would find this massive stone that used to be part of an altar. There is so much under there. There are layers and layers and layers of history just waiting to be found.
Absolutely. Mexico City is one of my favorite places. Tulum, Mexico is another one, although it's extremely hot out there, no question about that, but it's one of my favorite places for sure. I love that. I'm a sports person, as I mentioned before, so I'm going to ask you a sports question. It's a two-part. First part is favorite sport you like to watch on TV. The second part is favorite sport you like to attend in person. They could be the same sport.
Oh my goodness. Almost anything to do with horses. I absolutely adore horses. Um, I I also I don't tend to watch a lot of it in person. I tend to watch a lot of little bits on YouTube. I love watching racehorses being trained, because
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
these young, vivacious, energetic creatures just really finding themselves and finding the thrill of speed. And there's a lot that they have to learn in order to race each other, and they don't just sort of you can't just get a horse and get on it and go off. It's There's a lot more to it, but I just love watching them doing this simple thing that can become something they really love, or some of them they don't really get on with it. And anyway, I love that.
Okay, so that's like equestrian is what we would call
Yeah,
that. So the
equestrian.
equestrian.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Final favorite. I'm a huge foodie. Obviously, when I do come out there to London, I definitely would love to say hello to you. But I would like to visit some great restaurants there too. What is your favorite restaurant that you like to eat at?
Well, unfortunately, it's now closed, but it was the Thai Kitchen restaurant in Notting Hill, and they are authentically Thai. They get all the ingredients from Thailand. They are Thai themselves, and Thai food involves a lot of complex flavors. You can't exactly reproduce them unless you have the authentic flavors and the
Yes.
authentic ingredients, and it takes a lot of time to prepare it, because you need usually have a lot of different dishes in a Thai meal. So definitely, it would have been the Thai kitchen, but now you can't go there anymore.
I totally understand that Thai food has a lot of spice to it, has some kick
Mm.
to it, no question about it. Don't get me wrong, I do like spicy food. I do like well, I should say I like a little hot sauce on my food.
Uh,
I like that. I don't know about the Thailand food though, but I have not tried it, so I maybe I should just try it at least
mm.
once and see. For sure, but I definitely would love to go to a restaurant out there. I'm a huge breakfast person. I don't know if you guys have great breakfast spots out there that you could think of, but if you can think of one, please let me know.
Well, my husband makes the best breakfast, and he does it really well. The bacon is crisp. It's from the butcher, so it's really good bacon, proper bacon. He puts guacamole, spicy guacamole with it, which is probably a bit of an American adaptation. Poached eggs, something bready like a fresh baked roll,
Mm.
tomatoes, black pudding. That's something that you'll really discover over here. I don't know if you have it over there. Black pudding is a blood pudding, a dark blood pudding. It's got a bit of spice to it. Again, we do like our spices, actually.
Absolutely, it seems like
Yeah.
it, Rob. That's pretty cool, though. I love that. I definitely will have to, like I said, check that out because I'm a huge breakfast person, so I love
Mm,
that. I want to ask you about your day to day now, your day to day
mm.
process. As a journalist, as I know, no 2 days are ever the same. Freelancing, I'm calling around all the time, seeing what stories or what games or what things I can kind of do. But I've also worked in publications and networks where you have assignments every single day. No two assignments are ever the same. And you get to meet new people, get to do new things. It's one of the reasons why I love being a journalist. Now, you being in the writing sense and the media sense, you write different stories. You probably have met new people. You probably interview new people. Talk to me about what a Monday through Friday work week looks like for you, and what is your day to day operations out there?
Well, it depends what I'm working on, but I tend to have short projects that are things like pieces for my blog, pieces for my author newsletter, or little bits of writings I have to do to sort of keep the promotions going on my books and to get word out about them. And then usually I'm working on some longer things like books. I'm shortly expecting a memoir manuscript from somebody who wants. She's written a memoir, and I'm going to go through it in depth and figure out what's working, what isn't working, what she should do with the material she's
Right.
got to make the best out of it. And that's a long project. So that will be occupying the long part of my brain. And then I'll have the short ones that I dip into and out of that are more routine. So it's a mixture, really.
Okay, so typically, how long do you normally work? Like as far as maybe when you get up in the morning, like what is your longest like days looking like? Is it like a regular business day? Do you just shut it off, or do you work long hours each day?
It is long hours, and you'll see if you follow me on Facebook. On every Monday morning, I put up a shot of my desk with the computer and the startup screen, which has also got the time on it.
Oh
And it's just
wow.
something I started doing, and people really like it, so I kept on doing it. And it's 7:30 in the morning. Computer is on. It's firing up. I'm getting it ready. And then the different days have different routines. So usually I'll start a few things on the computer, and then I'll go off. I have a horse, and I go off,
Oh,
and
okay. That's where the love comes from.
that's
Okay,
where
I'm
the
putting
love
it
comes
together.
from. Yeah,
Got you.
and
Okay.
so I go and ride him. I'm training him, not for racing, for dressage. So I go train him. Then I'll probably go for a run while I'm there because it's in the countryside, which is lovely. And then I come back, and by then, sort of all the various things that I set in motion in my mind before I went off are sort of percolating. I know what I'm going to tackle and how I'm going to tackle them. Um, on Monday in midweek, usually a Wednesday, I spend the entire day at my desk, except for breaks to walk around. But I do forget. I have to set a time, and so I get up and walk around because I'm very good at just getting completely lost in the work.
I know that.
Mm.
Absolutely.
But you have to keep moving. It's just not good for your body to sit still for that long. And then I do tend to work quite late on into the evening. Usually, my husband's also a writer, so he's also working on things, and we'll have a break for supper and watch something on TV, and then go back to our computers, do another hour to because we work with people all over the world, not just in the UK, so they have different working hours. So new things are coming in from people I'm working with because it's still their working day. And then we shut off the computers at about 10 o'clock and go and watch something else, and then it's really closed down. But yeah, quite long working hours.
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna get to with this bonus question because obviously we're 5 hours apart. Right. Right now over here it's nine something. Over there it's like two something in the afternoon,
Yeah,
if
it
I'm
is.
not
Yeah,
mistaken. So, like, when you get something from, I'm sure you get like work from the states.
I do.
Um,
Yeah.
does it take maybe kind of a longer process for you to get that finished as opposed to working locally because of the time difference?
No, not really. People, the people I know who I work with, they're used to working with people all around the world. We just sort of figure out where we all are, and what the deadlines are. They're not as the deadlines are usually a particular day, not a particular time of day. I know on magazines, because I've also worked on magazines, you've got to have it in by 3 p.m. or something.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't have any clients where I have to do that. But if I was working in an office on a magazine, yes, it would be right. The lead story's got to be in by 2 p.m. so that all the things can be done and it can get to the printer, all that kind of stuff. But no, it's not so crucial.
I love that. Talk to me about two things in particular. First, talk to me about your YouTube show, the origins about that. If that still continues to go on, because I love that. Obviously, I post my podcast on YouTube, and I love that. And also talk to me about being the editor in chief. Like, what is your role in that? I know you said I know it's freelance, but what is your role in that, and how did that also come about?
Well, the YouTube show thing, it's more of a channel where I put anything that I've done a video of. I For a while I had a show on a local radio station called So You Want to Be a Writer, and I
Mm,
managed to put some of the. Is that what you found? Because
yeah.
I put some of those episodes on YouTube, and then the software that was making those into videos for me just decided not to work anymore. So I've got to find another way of doing this. But there
Mm.
are some of them there, so you can watch those. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be a writer, these are meant to be introductions to the writing world, how it works, how we do what we do, how we start with, as I said, nothing, and how we make something out of it that is actually going to be worth reading. So that's what the YouTube channel is, and you'll find all sorts of things there. At the moment, I've got a video up about my latest book, which comes out in March, which is a memoir. But I won't derail your question. I know you wanted to answer. So that's the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing you asked about was my editor in chief job. I'm editor in chief for the Alliance of Independent Authors, which is a global organization for writers who are also publishers. And it's everyone from the person who's just beginning to write and publish their books to writers who have got a big back catalogue of lots of titles, and they're selling them all around the world, and making a really good living out of them. And the Alliance of Independent Authors is for all of these people. We give advice on how to get your books made, the things you need to do in order to make a good book, the scams you need to avoid.
Yeah.
Lots of those around, and it gives lots of advice, lots of podcasts, blog posts. There are guidebooks. I'm currently editing a couple of the guidebooks. I'm updating them because we have got lots of new advice to put in them. And there's a magazine, and I edit that. And so I'm kind of doing an overall editorial job of making sure the content does what it needs to for the reader.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Roz, of you advocating about that. Now, it leads to a great question of mental health and work life balance. Great segue. And the
Mhm.
reason why I want to talk about this is because I know
Good.
journalists have stepped away from this industry because their mental health was broken. And I also know journalists have stepped away because mental health was just not something that was important to the masses, right? The bottom line mattered more than individual's mental health, but also work life balance. Also, they stepped away because of that, because journalism is every day, it's nonstop, as you say, it's long
Mm.
hours, it's definitely long hours. I know sports is nights and weekends, so when people are getting off of their
Yeah.
jobs, business hour times, they're going home, they're watching sports. There's people there that's working the games or working whatever. So I would love to know, Roz, how do you keep your mental health strong, but also still have that work life balance, right? You know, you're a wife, you're a writer, you have many different titles to you, and you do many different things, but
Mm.
you also need some rise time too, right? And you know, how do you keep it strong and not experience being overwhelmed or burnt out?
Well, it helps um, to have the horse actually, because that is a big chunk of time where I'm not writing, I'm not having to fulfill deadlines. I think in a completely different way. I'm
Mhm.
training an animal who is not verbal. So our way of communicating is totally different. And um, horses are prey animals. So they need to feel safe, and they need you to be paying 100% attention to them, and then they feel safe. They'll do amazing things for you, but you can't be daydreaming, and you can't be thinking about your deadline or the thing you've got to write when you get home. As a matter of your own survival, you'd better be thinking about that horse.
Sure.
So that in itself is a really good, it's just unplugging, it's really unplugging. So that's something that I'm sure keeps me sane, because it's a totally different way to think and be for a few hours every day. And the same also with going for a walk or a run. It's out in the woods. It's looking at your feet on the ground. It's trying to avoid the puddles. Really simple life things. And I think they're a really good reset. I think physical activity is also in itself a really good reset, because you just think and feel in a different way. I did say earlier that I found that going for walks was a really good way to sort out what I needed to do with a particular book, and that's another thing. But it's a different way of thinking. It's a real tunnel vision. There aren't very many things your mind can hold when
Right.
you're sort of running, trying not to trip over tree roots, and that sort of thing. And when I'm with the horse, just nothing else. I can't even speak like I normally do, because my mind is so different with him. So having ways of having breaks, I think, is really important. Whatever works for you. It might be dancing, it might be music, especially playing music, because that's so expressive, and it's your body as well as your ears and your mind.
I love that. Love the fact that you horse ride and take breaks like that. It's an important question to ask too, because a lot of people deal with it in a plethora of ways. But it's something that you definitely have to deal with in this industry, right? I
Mm,
know for me, I like to work out. I like to write poetry. I also like to play music, and stuff
yeah,
like that. So
right.
I'm huge into that. Being able to take a break from covering a game or previewing a game or writing about sports, you know, because I'm much more than just a writer for sports. You know, I like to do a lot of different things. So, and that helps me clear my mind. It helps me refocus back on towards the tasks at hand. But again, a great segue, because now I want to ask you about advice.
Yeah.
What is some advice that an individual has came up to you and asked and said, "Hey, Roz, I would like to do the same thing that you're doing as far as the occupation goes." What kind of advice would you give that individual?
Well, it depends which occupation they want. If they want to be an editor, it's different from being a creative writer.
Mm,
Um, if you want to be an editor, you need to get to know how books are made, what makes a readable book, what the difference is between a manuscript that somebody has just finished and a manuscript that has been properly finished by an editor, because there's quite a lot that needs to be done to make sure it will be good for the reader. and follows particular conventions that readers all know, but they don't know they know.
Right.
And
Right.
editors are the people who can make that transformation. So you've got to find out about all that. You've also got to get experience of working with quite a lot of different kinds of book in order to find out what's going to suit you. Because academic publishing, for instance, requires quite a different mindset from fiction publishing. They're all very different. So you need to find out about all the different kinds of publication and what would suit you. Also, whether you want to work on magazines or books, they're very different from each other. Newspapers, we were talking about the high pressure deadlines. You know, a deadline was in a few hours on a newspaper, but on a book, it's within a few weeks or even months. So you figure out all these different ways your temperament and your interests and your talents suit a particular corner of the industry. And
Hmm.
also what you're going to be able to do with, as so many of the jobs are being replaced by technology,
Mm-hmm.
not just AI, and this has been going on for much longer than that. I remember
Right.
when typesetters were done away with because we could do it all on desktop publishing. So that kind of thing has always been happening. So you have to figure out where you are going to fit in the modern current publishing world. So that's how to be an editor. It may not appeal to you. Not so many people want to be an editor as want to be writers. If you
Hmm.
want to be a writer, the thing to do is read absolutely loads, and discover what works on you. Discover what kind of writing works on you, because we're all different. We all like different things. We all respond to different things. And, I said right at the start that I was always reading books and then I was stopping and thinking, how did that do that? And I want to read it again because I was just so caught up in it. And
Right.
in that way, I kind of discovered the kinds of things I wanted to write, was interested in writing, how it might be done. I was always paying attention to the way a sentence fell because I loved it. And if you're like that, you're probably naturally inclined to be a writer and make the most of it. Read like that all the time, but also read lots of things that you may not think you'll like. If you discover you don't like them, that's great. You have actually made a discovery about yourself. If you discover you do like it, that's also great because you've discovered a new thing you might be able to do or a new thing you should explore. So those are my two pieces of advice.
No, I love that. I love that. And I love for you breaking it down too. Editor and writing. I love that. Thank you so much. Um, I want to ask this bonus question because you mentioned it before about a memoir coming out in March.
Mm.
What is the title of the memoir going to be, and where exactly can people, find the memoir? I know I definitely would like a copy, that's for sure. If I can get one from you, that'd be amazing. So yes, absolutely. But talk about that book coming out in just a little bit over a month.
Well, I have a copy here. It's called
Okay.
Turn Right at the Rainbow, a diary of house hunting, happenstance, and home. And it's the story of how we tried to move house and all the adventures that happened because of that. Because I found that having the kind of brain I've got, I started thinking it's like I'm fiddling with the universe because where your home is so important. Our friends were saying things like, "You're going to sell that house, but we've been coming to it for years. We had this party who used to come for this." It was more than just a house. It was a
Right.
repository for a lot of people's memories and our own. And then we were going out and we were trying to find a place that would replace that. And it seemed like a massive choice to make. And it so defines who you are. And um, it sort of evolves as well with the years. We'd been in that house for 30 years. So it had such a lot of our lives in it. And you don't realize that until you decide to change it. How much is there? And
Right.
as if the walls are like a sort of cinema that remind you of so many things. And all these feelings were coming up as we were going around houses thinking, will this be will this be our home? How do we decide? How do we choose? And then there are the strange places you see and you think, I'm not sure that I could ever get on with this because it's got an annex and we don't need an annex, and it sort of faces the wrong way and it feels dark and it will
Right.
always feel dark. There's all
Right.
these reactions that you have. And I started also thinking about other houses that have been really important to me, and also how much a matter of chance it is how these places come to you. It's because someone else decides to sell it, and that's all. And there were some places that we were really keen on, and we put a bid in, and then we were told, oh, the sellers just decided not to move. So that was the end of it. And if if that had happened to the house that we currently had, the one that we'd been in for 30 years, we wouldn't have been there. And it would be just because of one decision somebody made. And there is so much that everything was rolls of the die constantly.
Hmm.
And so
I
that's
love
what I
that.
wanted to write about. And because it was so strange and we take it for granted and we don't really think about it.
No, we don't. Not at all. No, that's really really interesting to hear, Roz. That really is, and I love that. Where can people cop this book that's not local that maybe want to cop it in the States or maybe want to get a copy?
Well, I have a, a link for it. It's not very easy to say, but I'll try. Books2read.com, and that's BOOKS figure two read READ.com. So that's all one word. Books2read.com /write rainbow. So that's books2read.com /write rainbow.
I love it. I love it, and definitely, if like I said, if you can, I would love to get a copy of that for sure because I love to read. I love different books for sure. So that's awesome. I would also love to because we've reached the portion of my podcast now that we're gonna do my interactive game, which is called
Okay.
This or That. Okay, so it's a game I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, and it's very simple, Roz. I'm gonna throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Out of these two restaurants, which restaurant would you rather sit down and eat at? McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King.
I like that. We off to a good start. Okay. When it comes to chicken wings, out of these two flavors, which flavor are you putting on the wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Dry.
Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
Boneless. Who wants to fiddle with a bone?
I love it. I love it. Now you do know most people do say that if you're eating a boneless wing, you're eating a chicken nugget.
Well, yes, but I have cooked chicken thighs rather than wings without the bones, so I definitely prefer it without the bones.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that, but I like the lemon pepper though. The lemon pepper is definitely good. Okay, I'm with you on that. These next four questions have to do with music concerts you rather attend. So, if there is a music genre that you like, what would you say is your favorite music genre?
I rather like prog rock. I'm quite old.
Okay, okay. Listen, you don't look it. It's okay. So whatever you doing, keep it up, Roz. Okay, whatever you doing. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna throw some bands out there for you, and these are all bands that I really like as well.
Mhm.
So first one here. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see the Police, or would you rather see Genesis?
Both. I'm sorry I've broken your game, but I've got to see both.
Okay. Now here's what I will ask you with that because I love both. Which one is 51%? Which one is 49%?
Oh, okay. Well, the police from the Zenyatta Mondata to Synchronicity, and Genesis in the early years up to the one with Mama on it. So possibly in terms of quantity, if we're stacking the albums up, Genesis is a bit more.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I know that was tough, but they're only
It
going to
was
get tougher.
tough.
They're only going to get tougher, Roz. So here we go.
Okay, I'm ready.
The next one is, which music concert would you rather go see? Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince.
I love it. I love it. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, or would you rather see a group REM?
Oh, can't stand REM. Sorry. So it would be Tom Petty.
What's wrong with REM?
That's me in a corner. Ah.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I think everybody hurts is probably one of my favorite songs of theirs for sure. Losing my religion is okay, but the everybody hurts that hits. I'm just gonna say. Here we go. Last one for the music. Which music concert would you rather go see? Celine Dion or Whitney Houston?
Whitney Houston, because that would be rather interesting as she's dead.
Yeah. That's very true. No question. Listen,
So
she's
is
the
Prince
GOAT.
and Michael Jackson as well.
Right. You know, but Whitney Houston is the GOAT. She's the GOAT, in my opinion. No question about it. One of the greatest singers of all time, the greatest singer of all time.
Fantastic singer, yeah.
For sure. We're gonna switch back to sports. Which sport, if it's on TV and you had to watch it, which sport would you rather watch? American football or basketball?
Oh, neither. Can I have ice skating instead? Now, this is something that writers do, that creative people do. They say, I don't quite want to do it like that, but I can think of a better way to do it, and they try
That
and
is
get
true.
that
That's
smuggled
very
past.
true.
That is the
Okay.
creative's answer.
And I feel that ice skating is great. I love figure skating, ice skating,
Yeah.
equestrian. I have respect for all those athletes. But for this or that, which one is 51%? Which one is 49%?
Well, maybe basketball is a bit 51.
I love it. You already have my heart, Roz. Because basketball is my favorite sport. Now, if we're playing, which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Badminton.
Are you good at badminton?
No, but I would prefer to play it. I have no hand-eye coordination. I have the hand-eye coordination of Stevie Wonder.
Okay. That's saying a lot, Roz. It is. The way that you answered the question, though, you threw me off because you answered it with so much, like badminton. Like it was so much like confidence, and I was like, "Are you good?" Not at all. I was like, "Oh
no.
man." Okay.
But you get to run around and wave a thing, and I quite like that.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, listen, you got a sports friend now, so I can help you with some sports stuff and some sports knowledge. Okay, so you got that. All right, here we go. Do you like desserts?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to name 4 categories of desserts. You have to choose one of these categories to get rid of that you would never eat again. Okay, so here we go. First category is going to be cookies. The next category is going to be candy. The third category is grouped together. So they're cake/pies. The last category is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of?
I'm not that bothered about ice cream.
I love it. Okay. Now, if I ask you, what is your favorite cookie? What are you going to say?
It's got to be sticky and quite fudgy, and have a good vanilla flavour. So probably a blondie kind of white chocolate one.
Okay. I ain't mad at that. I love me some white chocolate. I definitely do. Okay. Do you like potato chips?
I prefer what you call French fries.
Ah, French fries. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
So more solid potato.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a bonus music question. And I'm actually going to
Hmm.
ask you two because that just came up in my mind. Two
Okay.
bonus music questions. Okay. Here's the first one. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Janet Jackson or Mariah Carey?
Janet Jackson.
You answered that pretty confidently too.
Mm.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Michael Bolton or George Michael?
George Michael, even though he's dead.
This is true. This is true. Okay. Okay. Listen, Michael Bolton is pretty good too now. He got some good stuff too. But I do know George Michael is pretty good. One of my favorite songs of his, before I move on, is the one that he did the duet with Elton John.
Mm.
That's one of my favorite songs of his for sure. No question. Okay. You got some good taste. You did very good for this or that, except with the badminton, but that's okay. That's all right. I don't hold that against you at all. I want to ask you this next question. It's called Bucket List.
Mhm.
I want you to speak it into existence, Roz. Give me a top 4 of things that you would like to do in your career that you haven't done yet. That's a bucket list item.
In my career, so it's got to be related to my writing. I'd like to get another novel finished because it always feels really good to get another work out into the world. I'd really like loads of people to read my books. That's something all writers say because
For
really a
sure.
book doesn't exist until it's taken place in another reader's mind, and that's what you've written it for. You really want the thing to be experienced. That's so important. I've got another two, haven't I?
Yeah, two more. Yeah, two
Two
more.
more. Oh, I can't think of two more because those are the things that seem to matter the most. To get the good work done and
Mhm.
to get people reading it. I could say the same things all over again about doing another memoir because that was this one's my second memoir. I did
Okay.
another one. Yeah, I know that seems greedy, doesn't it? But yeah, I'd love to get another of those done and get a lot of people reading it. So although I have sort of repeated myself, that is four aims.
Well, let me ask you, would you ever be interested in like maybe going to like a conference for writers, maybe doing some public speaking for writers that are interested in becoming better writers or something like that?
Oh yes, I have done that, and I really enjoy it. Yes.
Okay, okay. Now what about writing maybe because I know you write memoirs and fiction. What about maybe dabbling into some songwriting?
Oh, love songwriting. Yes.
Okay, okay. Would you ever want to do something like that and maybe sing the song?
Yes, absolutely. But I'd need another life in order to be able to do that. Um, I'm really musical, and that's another reason why I wrote Everest with the musicians because I drew on part of my experience of being in a band when I was at college, and before that, when I was a teenager, I was writing songs at my parents' piano and everything. Yes.
Are you a soprano or alto?
Well, now I'm an alto more. I began as a soprano, but my voice has sort of lost some of its top notes, quite a few of the top notes
Yeah,
now.
I definitely understand that, Roz. I
Yeah,
definitely
it
do.
really
No
has.
question.
Yeah.
Um, Let me ask you, because we talked about advice you would give. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Um, don't forget who you are really, because when I was starting out with my first novel, trying to find a literary agent, um, there were a lot of people who wanted me to make it into something that it wasn't. And I'd been a ghostwriter before that. I'd been writing novels for other people. And so I was good at writing novels for other people. I could write what's necessary. But I discovered that when it came to my own idea, I really wanted to do it my way. It had to be mine. And I realized that that was a kind of lifelong crusade from all the moments I told you about at the beginning, where I was sitting thinking, what matters to me? What's speaking to me about this? Because I think I want to make something out of that. And those are the artists I admired, the artists who did that. So I found that when I was trying to find an agent for my own novels, that they were telling me, "Oh, just change it to make it more like that," and I was thinking, no, that feels wrong. That's not what I'm doing this for. And so
Right.
it was. My husband said to me, "No, no, don't do that. You don't have to do that. Carry on with what you're doing." So that was it. That was the good advice.
That was great advice, no question. I told you we had a London question for you. When
Mm.
I come there for the very first time, I need a top four things I should do outside of obviously seeing yourself and seeing Wembley Stadium. I cannot wait to see both of those. But what is four things I should do when I touch down in London?
I really like some of the um, free exhibitions you can get. We have so many beautiful free exhibitions. There's one I recently went to, which is the Victoria and Albert Museum Storehouse, which is the overflow of the things they can't fit in the main museum. And there are just all sorts of unexpected things. It's like a junk shop, but of beautiful historical items.
Mm.
And it's free. You just go in there and you wander around and you can see Jimmy Page's guitar next to an icon from the 15th century. Just amazing stuff like that.
Okay, okay. Give me three more. Three more things I should do.
Well, they'd also be museums because that's the thing I love to do. Just wander and look at things and dream. So another one I would say is the John Soane Museum. John Soane he was an architect, and
Hmm.
he just collected stuff. And some of his stuff is things like Canaletto paintings, and you can get really close to them. You can see the brushstrokes, you can see the genius in them. So that's another
Mm.
one.
Have you been to the O2, the O2 arena that's
No,
out
I
there?
haven't yet. I've seen it from the outside loads of times, and
Okay.
that's yeah, it's really interesting. Something else I would recommend is in London we have lots of interesting walks, and they'll let you see all sorts of parts of the city. There's one called the Capitol Ring, when you just walk a big ring around through all of the outskirts of London. You get to see so many different places. It's like being a
Hmm.
time traveler. You'd go from one region to another, and the houses are totally different, and you're just passing through trying to find your way, and I love that.
Oh, I love that too. No question. I'm definitely going to have to check out some food spots out there as well.
Mm,
Um, this has been a really, really dope conversation, Roz. Of just learning
absolutely.
about your why, learn about who you are, learn about what you do, your memoir, which is coming out in March, some of the books that you're working on, some of the, like I said, job titles that you have, but also just getting to know you as a person. You're obviously a fascinating woman, very
Oh, thank
passionate,
you.
and I absolutely love that. I am blessed to have you on my platform and talk to you on my podcast and really do appreciate your time. My final question to you is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the industry, or anything at all before we conclude?
Really, writing's a long game. It takes ages to learn to do it as well as you want to, but enjoy the journey and enjoy discovering what you can do.
I love that. And listen, I want you to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening out there now as it is. And I want you to enjoy the rest of your week. You and I will most certainly be in touch. And we will
Yeah.
talk very, very soon.
Thank you very much, Chris.
No problem.